Hey, it's James Tiernan here with Keller Williams and the Tiernan Group Studios. And today I want to bring you one of our new episodes of Friday with Friends. I'm going to introduce you to my good friend Gary Martin from New York, kind of in the tri-state area between New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. He's going to tell you all about it. So let's get started. Hey, Gary, how you doing today?
I'm great, James. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us all about your area in middle upstate, tri-state New York.
All right. Great question. So it's typically referred to as like the Hudson Valley. And where we are up here, that takes in Dutchess and Columbia and Greene counties. So pretty much when you're about maybe 45 minutes north to an hour north of New York City, all the way up to Albany, that area along the Hudson River, that would be your Hudson Valley.
Okay. So all about in here?
Yeah, kind of that area through there. And then the counties go over a little bit more towards with Dutchess and Columbia. We are up against Massachusetts and Connecticut. So
Okay.
where I'm up here, I'm about 10 minutes from Massachusetts.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, foothills of the Berkshires.
Hey,
A little bit higher up. We get to see our first snowfall generally around Halloween.
Oh, yeah, we had some snow here in Halloween, but nothing that really sticks. One year we did have like about 6 inches, but we're generally,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit later than Halloween.
Yeah. We usually see our first dusting right around Halloween, and then it tends to set in on a typical year more in November.
Okay. So what's happening in this area? How's the market?
The market in this area has been quite strong for the last really close to 2 years now, and it has fluctuated back and forth for, let's say, the last 10 years. There are a lot of smaller towns: Hudson, Kingston, Millbrook, Beacon, for example, that were more industrial type towns. And over the years, as that has changed and businesses have changed, it is very rural. But there's also a very large arts community that has come in. So during COVID, a lot of people looked to this area because they wanted more space, some land, the ability to get out of the city some more. And where it's always been popular for weekend homes, it then really converted a lot more to weekend and full-time residences.
Okay, it sounds very similar to my area. We're
Mhm.
about an hour to 90 minutes north of Chicago.
Mhm.
So originally, years ago, it would be an escape for people from the city. And like you said, during COVID, people would just get away from the city and they started moving out towards the suburbs for more land, more space, and a little bit more elbow room. Instead of living vertically like in the cities, they're living, more along the lines of having something with grass to mow.
Exactly. Depending on the area up here, the properties can range from a half acre for a home upwards to 100 to 300 acres of property that people have. Dutchess County is fantastic for horse country. A lot of horse farms up there, dressage, horse competitions as well in that area. Columbia County there's some horse areas around here as well. But it's also very well known for organic farming. And there's some vineyards up here. So it's a great area for that. And a lot of farm to table restaurants
Oh, wow.
as well, which has grown in popularity quite a bit. And this has always been a popular area for people who like the outdoors, skiing, hiking. Personally, I love cycling. And this is a great area to do long distance cycling. If you like mountain bikes, great area for that also.
Okay, so cycling, motorcycling, that type of stuff.
Not motorcycling as much as just the mountain bikes.
Okay.
I would have done that in my younger years. I've been grown on to just doing cycling on the road, where I'll be with a group of friends up here in the area, and we'll do 40, 50-mile rides.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty intense. But now it's not flat land there. You do have some mountains and some hills, right?
Right. We have, I would say probably on this side, more hills. When you get on the west side of the Hudson, then you definitely have some more mountains there. But it has some challenging hills at the same time. But it's really
Okay.
good for training for that and being able to go through. One of the nice things they completed during COVID through here was the Empire State Trail. So you can actually go from New York City and using that trail. It's the old trails that train tracks that they had up here, going through all the way up to Hudson,
Wow.
Albany, and then that can also take you north into Canada, or you can go further west towards Buffalo and actually cross the entire state.
Wow. How big is that? How long is that trail?
That's probably about 500 miles one way, and I'd have to check on the going north how much it would be, but it's a good trip. I actually with some friends we're planning on doing that, if not this summer, next summer, just taking a week and going through doing that cycling adventure.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. Now that is that more mountain biking or road bikes?
Road bikes.
Road bikes.
Road
Okay.
bikes. Your
That's
incline
good.
is maybe about 3%, so it's a very easy. It's a very easier ride. Mountain bikes, then you're more like around some of the ski slopes areas because that gets, of course, much hillier. And they
Yeah.
have some
Well, I,
zip lines during the summer. Those are great.
oh yeah, I was just wondering if it's paved. We can talk about railroad tracks.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just railroad tracks.
Yeah. They have it all paved, most of it, and then there's also just like compressed gravel,
Yep.
so it's very easy to go on.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, talking about ski areas, what are some of the local ski places or nearby resorts that you guys could use for recreation?
In this area, Catamount, Jiminy Peak, Butternut, those are three that are the most popular in the area.
Okay.
I
And that,
don't do skiing. I've never being originally from the Midwest, and I've been in New York for about 25, 27 years.
okay.
Uh, Skiing wasn't as popular in the
No,
Midwest as it is
no, it's kind of flat out here.
out here.
So, what brought you
Yeah.
out to New York?
Um, Great question. So New York brought me out here. One, it was always a passion of mine when I was growing up to move out to New York City, and that was in my previous life in retail. I was at the time with London Fog. They were doing expansion out on the East Coast, so I moved out here to help them expand their business and their operation.
Oh, awesome. And how long have you been an agent?
I've been an agent now. This is my 11th year.
Okay, so similar to me.
Okay, yeah, and it was a great transition. It's always kind of a passion of mine to go into real estate, and when I
Mhm.
had that opportunity after 35 years in retail store operations and management, I decided that it was the time to take the change.
Okay. Now, what are you seeing in your marketplace? Like, who's coming to your area? Are you getting a lot of people moving just from the city, as we talked about, or are you getting people coming from other areas as well?
We do have some people coming from other areas of the country. I'd say the majority is out of the city. Other areas of the country tend to be out of the East Coast, Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont. If they're wanting to move south a bit, we do get some people coming out from the Midwest. Chicago would be an area. Um, Ohio would be an area that we have people coming out. And I think moving out of this area, mostly people tend to move south from the area if they're leaving here. So like South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, those tend to be destination spots for people when they do leave the Mid Hudson Valley.
Yeah, the Carolinas are becoming more and more popular.
Right, right, and it's a good area to retire and also to even have a vacation home from here. So if you want to go some south to get those during the winter months, be that snowbird down there, then those are good selections.
Do you have a lot of people doing the snowbird concept?
I probably saw that a little bit more in this when from the city, New York City, than up here. Uh, I do see that a bit, but I'd say the majority of people is like they're doing that move more for them. rather than just something that's doing part-time.
Okay. All right. Now, what are people drawn to in the area other than all the great opportunities for recreation that we talked about? Like, what industries are there? What are the major employment centers?
Yeah, it's interesting because we're close to Albany and Rensselaer. There's a large, not only state government, but the tech industry is really growing in Rensselaer, and we're in essence kind of a suburb, almost a suburb of Albany. I'm about 30 minutes from Albany and Rensselaer, and about where I am here, 2 hours and 15 minutes from New York City. So for that, the people who want to live further out from the city with Albany, that's where we're getting some people there, and with those businesses. Columbia County itself is like one of the top 10 counties in New York for small business. So that's where a lot of the focus here is. And one of the more recent developments with employers, larger ones, would be Amazon. They have a huge warehouse about around Troy, East Greenbush, and they're actually doubling the size of that here in the next year.
Yeah, Amazon continues to grow. They're a huge employer here. I think they're a
Mhm.
huge employer everywhere because there isn't any place that doesn't want Amazon delivery.
Exactly. And the nice thing I've seen happen in the last 2 years is where I was used to the convenience of having Amazon the next day in the city. It's almost the same now. Might have to wait 2 days, but it's very convenient up here.
Awesome. What else? I mean, you talked about Rensselaer. Are there other universities nearby? What else is going to draw people into that area?
Um, what really kind of draws a lot of people into the area are those that are wanting to get out of the city. They have more space, more land, more kind of ability to do things, and also even entertain. It's very, when I say entertain, they're coming up here for maybe a weekend home, or it's 50% here, 50% in the city right now in New York City. So looking at a place for that, and then be able to have friends up for a weekend, have some more space to entertain, cookouts, and there's a lot of people with the arts community. There are a lot of um, not only galleries, but also different places. And as the city has shifted, and a lot of the gallery owners have shifted, where they still have their galleries there, but they also have outposts up here. So we've had a large influx of just that culture, and can do that. The school in Kinderhook is quite popular. Massamoka is about maybe 45 minutes to an hour away from here. Ardo Maya, which is about just 50 plus acres of outdoor sculptures.
Oh, wow.
That's free to the public. You can go through, which is phenomenal. The Clark Institute, that is in the area as well. And you have great train access. Closest train station here is in Hudson. You can hop on the Amtrak to be able to go down to Beacon, where the DIA is located. You can get around a lot of areas up here with that. During the summertime, lots of summer fairs, art fairs, things that are going on. Berkshire Opera Company, which restarted about, I want to say, 5 to 6 years ago, just over on the other side of the border. They do some work and performances.
Okay, awesome. So there's a ton of activity. People want to come. They want more space. There's a big arts community. We know there's a lot of recreation there. It sounds like a fantastic place. So the people that are moving in, what are 3 things that you really think people ought to know when they're considering a move to the area that you work in, to the Hudson Valley?
So I'd say some things to keep in mind is if you're looking for some acreage, there's a lot of opportunity for that. Keep in mind, if you're wanting to build something, then there's a lot of patience. It's a huge demand for contractors right now.
Oh, sure.
I mentioned to you earlier that before I hopped on, I'm in the middle of a renovation here, and it took us about a year and a half of planning and interviewing contractors to find the right mix to have that start. So patience with that. I think knowing what you're buying for land, to make sure that you have all the tests done for water, for septic, for your wells. If you're buying something that is a current home, do all those inspections and those tests so that you know what the water system, the well system is like, the septic, the electric. Do you have a backup generator? Those are important things. And one thing that I always remind people about would be internet. Make sure you have good internet connections up here. Different areas have different things, different services. So you don't want to find your dream home and then realize that it's going to cost you a lot. It could be a few $100s if you're doing a satellite system, or that you just don't have good internet access, and that can really hamper some of your plans with that. Those are some things to know.
Especially if you're going to work from home, you really need good access
to keep in mind.
internet.
Exactly. Are you looking at driving up? Are you looking at using transportation with train stations? Where are those train stations? What's the transportation going to be like? I'm used to in New York City. I can walk out my front door. I can have an Uber. I'm going someplace. Here, it
Yeah,
takes
you
a
don't
bit
have
more.
a car.
Yeah, right. And the nice thing with the area up here, people keep in mind, you're really about a 10 to 15, maybe 20-minute drive to almost anything you would need. Restaurants,
Okay.
food stores, retail, Home Depot, one of my favorite places, or Lowe's, depending on what I'm looking for. Everything is really well located within areas. So you're about a 10 to 20-minute drive, and you can really have quite a bit of selection.
Okay. Now you talked a little bit about things like well and septic and backup generators. I didn't realize how rural that area is. How prevalent is well and septic in the homes, and how much availability is there for land to be able to people to build their own properties?
Yeah, land is there is a lot of availability for land. It depends on what you're looking for, the amount of acreage to one maintain, take care of for your home, but also the entire property. So it's in the area where we are, where I'm located, you need 10 acres to be able to build a house, a minimum of 10 acres. Other areas are going to be less than that. If you're more towards Ghent and going south from here to Ghent and Hudson, you're not going to need that much space. And there are some smaller, I'd say subdivisions of, it could be 12 to 24 homes in an area. But those are some things to keep in mind with that. As you're closer to Hudson, Ghent, and some of the towns, they will tend to have more city services. You get a little bit more rural, then you're going to be well, septic, and actually, we're as I mentioned during the renovation here, we just added in an electric generator, and we're probably the last house on the road to do it. We've been holding out for about 25 years, and finally bit the bullet to have that done.
I assume it's a big need if you're going to have one put in.
It is. It's when you lose power out here, you can lose it for anywhere from a few hours to a couple days.
Oh, wow.
With some of the storms that may roll through, and that just helps to kind of give you, especially if you're looking at living up here, and the more time that we have spent up here over the years, it's really become more of a having that as a necessity rather than just as a convenience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You want to make sure if you're going to stockpile things in a freezer, that freezer is going to survive, a 3 or 4 day power outage.
Mm-hmm. Right. And those, we're at a higher elevation here, so some of the storms will hit us a little bit harder than other areas in the county. But we do get some fun storms that come through.
Oh, sure. Now, we didn't talk about this, but what's your typical price point? I mean, what are homes selling for and the average in the area where you are, because that kind of helps to put in perspective. Around here, you can get a pretty decent home for between 2 to 300.
Mhm.
500 is more luxury. You may get some more land, you may not, depending on what town you end up in.
Sure. Great question. So, the median price for homes in the area, that median price is about 340,000. The average price is has been more around 460,000, and that's about an 8% increase over last year. So we have seen a real bump in prices,
Hmm.
um, and I think you're going to find uh, a lot of availability for homes in that 460 range. If you're wanting more acreage, then your prices. A lot of clients I work with, we're in budgets from around, let's say 400,000 to. Oh, sorry about that. We're in budgets from about 400,000 to around 850 to 900,000, and that there's a good selection within that.
Sure. Well, that seems like a much bigger budget. I mean, we have some of that, but that's not the major part of our market in our area.
Hmm.
Unless,
Right.
I mean, there are neighborhoods and there are places where everything is around $1 million or more. But for the majority, the widespread, we're much closer to, to, I'd say 2 to maybe 400,000. You're not going to see that much. And the market over 500 is much different. And how's
Hmm.
the inventory right there where you are? Because we have a very significant decrease in our inventory right now.
We've had a significant decrease as well. It's around like maybe within um, the 3 county area that I service here. There's about you know a 50% decrease in the amount of available inventory to this year versus 2020, and there still is a demand for that inventory. So we're seeing the same impacts that they are kind of throughout the country right now.
Yeah, and we've seen a greater decrease in inventory right now. Like before COVID, like pre-COVID, like the 2019 inventory, we would normally have about 3,000 homes on the market and
Hmm.
go increase to like 5,000 in the summer months. We're sitting
Hmm.
right now at about 300 homes on the market. So we've seen a significant decrease in homes on the
Hmm.
market, and it's really, as in many areas like yours, has caused an increase in prices.
Right, right. And what I generally see, if it with a home that is in, let's say, above average condition, and may just need just some minor updates, be it paint or so on and so forth, but is in above average condition, that's well priced. It's only on the market for a couple of weeks before it goes into contract. you
Yep.
know Anything else that's staying longer, it has some more items with it, maybe more acreage, or there may be a couple more buildings like a barn or outbuildings that are involved that people aren't necessarily looking for.
Sure. Yeah, definitely some more issues too. We've definitely
Hmm.
seen that.
Yes. Yeah. So that is generally what I'm seeing happening in the area, and I've seen that really just kind of that trend increase over the last 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just seen a definite change. It was really, I looked at it as once we went into like quarantine and everything shut down and people realized, hey, I can work from home. Let's make home anywhere. Then everything started to shift and the
Mhm.
market started to take off. Does
Right.
that sound similar to
Right. And
you?
it's created a lot of exciting opportunities. Very similar. It's created a lot of exciting opportunities for people here, uh, um, and it's brought a lot more kind of opportunities for restaurants and things that we've seen it really develop a lot more over the last 2 years that would have taken maybe 5 years for it to get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of the older businesses that we hate to see them go, they might have closed their doors, but somebody came in behind them and opened up a fresh set of doors. I've seen that a few times now.
Mhm. Right. All right. I've seen that, in exact same thing has happened in Hudson. where some of those restaurants have changed over. A lot of the retail has continued to do well here in Chad. Old Chatham is really just like doesn't even have a traffic light here. We just have a stop sign with post office, Jackson's, and which is great. Jackson's Steakhouse is some of the best food around here. So that's very gives you a sense of what Old Chatham is like. Chatham, which is about a 10-minute drive from here. A lot of those restaurants in Main Street have done really well and continued during this time, and the community has made sure to support those. So it is a very kind of strong, tight knit community that way.
That's good. That's good to hear. A lot of restaurants, if we don't support them, they wouldn't be there when we got out of the COVID. When we got out of the quarantine and we didn't do takeout orders, those restaurants would not have been able to survive.
Right. Right. So it's there's craft brewing. Two restaurants come to mind right offhand down there that are just like fun to go to and always have a nice change over of brewing. Chatham Brewery, which they have some of the brewing right there on site. That's a good place to go to.
Yeah. Microbrewers are starting to be popular here as well. We've had several open up in the last couple of months.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone likes the shaker history, we have one of the largest shaker museums in the country, and actually took one of the buildings in Chatham, and that's being converted. It's going the new Shaker Museum. So it's about a 3-4 story building that is being renovated and will be the new home for the Shaker Museum.
What's a Shaker Museum?
So the Shaker community, this was originally populated with the Shakers, and it was the kind of religious group that was here at the time. So we have a lot of the Shaker, some original Shaker homes, Shaker settlement homes. In Massachusetts, there's a area that they've kind of have maintained that as a historically of what the Shaker community would have been like, and here in Chatham, that a lot of the towns around here, were founded by the Shakers. So that kind of original settlement and community had an impact on this area, and now with the museum is going to be a quite popular place to go to.
Oh, it's so interesting to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's there's quite a lot of history with this area. It was it really goes back to the late 1600s, early 1700s for how this entire area developed.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to know about the community and what's going on. And it's so great that is still part of the community and the foundations of the origins in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's one of the reasons why we came up here.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Gary, what else? Is there anything else that somebody should know who's thinking about moving to the Hudson Valley? What's the last thing you really want them to know about, to be aware of as we wrap this up?
We've touched on so many parts of it. I think the one of the best things I'd say two things: the outdoor activities that we talked about, and the arts community. Those are two really for us and for a lot of my clients who are up here. Those are two things that they really enjoy and consistently year after year. So those are two things I'd say. Yeah, definitely keep those in mind. And there's more happening in here. You're so centrally located to that entire spectrum. Come here, enjoy it, spend a weekend, get an Airbnb for a weekend, and really kind of explore. And I can't just stress that enough.
Yeah, so Hudson River Valley, great place to go visit. Tons of recreation, some great local restaurants, and some great arts for anybody that wants something to do. So it sounds like a great place not just to visit, but to be part of the community.
Exactly.
Hey,
Good.
Gary, thank you so much for spending time with us and telling us about your area. And if someone I know or someone who's listening to this is thinking about making a move to the Hudson River Valley, Gary is a great resource. His number is down below. You see it on the crawl. Feel free to reach out to him or give me a call
Right below
directly.
it.
I'm James Tiernan from the Tiernan Group at Keller Williams North Shore West. Let us know how we can help and have a great day. Thanks so much, Gary.
Great. Thanks, James. Good talking to you.
All righty. Bye.
Bye.